Hey there, Hawks fans. The 2023 AFL Trade Period has now come to a close, and there weren't many teams as active as Hawthorn on deadline day. It was a big surprise to me and other Hawks fans to see how aggressive our club was at the trade table this year, considering the emphasis placed on draft priority last season. However, I'm not too sure many of us will be complaining with our moves. In this video, we will be going over all of our off-season moves during the trade period and how they will affect our club in both the long and the short term. Let's get straight into it. Massimo D'Ambrosio expressed his desire to move to Hawthorn from the Essendon Bombers due to a lack of game time, and this was honestly the perfect move for his career. As a club, we desperately need skillful ball users to complement our dominant ball-winning midfielders, and Mass adds a damaging left boot and a quick dash that we have lacked for so long. We could have let Mass walk to the draft and pick him up from there, but we clutched up during the last hour of deadline day and saved the Bombers from letting him go for free. In return for Massimo, Hawthorn have sent over pick 61 and a future 4th rounder tied to Collingwood. Now, Essendon probably won't use that pick 61, but the future 4th could come in handy come next year depending on where Collingwood finish. This is a good move for the Hawks, as I believe Mass slots straight into the best 22. Whether that's on the wing or up forward, I don't know, but he will prove a great pickup for next to nothing and have an immediate impact. Mabior Chol moving away from Gold Coast seemed inevitable for most of the season. It was really just a matter of where he wanted to land, and that ended up being Hawthorn. I think this move makes a lot of sense for where our list stands at the moment. The fact of the matter is we need key forward depth, and we need it now. Mitch Lewis is obviously a great number 1 option, but he needs help and does have a few injury concerns, having not played a full season yet. I don't really understand the uncertainty and hate that we are getting from certain people regarding this move. While Chol only played the 8 games at AFL this season, he is coming off a 44 goal season in 2022 and was instrumental in the VFL this year. Along with Chol, the Suns have sent over a 3rd round pick in this year's draft, and in return we have traded them a future 2nd round pick tied to Brisbane. Obviously, Chol slots right into our best 22. He has absolutely killed us whenever we've played against him, so hopefully he can replicate that same form for us instead. It is a bit concerning that 2 teams have parted ways with him in 2 years, but I'm confident that a fresh start and guaranteed game time will be just what he needs to revive his career. So I really wasn't expecting this one to eventuate, to be honest. I was obviously ecstatic when I heard the news that my favourite ever player was wanting to finish his career in the brown and gold, but it just seemed a little bit unrealistic, didn't it? Well, apparently not. Jack is officially back and will prove very handy for our forward potency. Obviously, he is getting old now and doesn't quite have that elite level athleticism he once did, but it's easy to forget what this guy is capable of on his day. He's an All-Australian caliber and is deadly in front of the sticks. As part of this deal, we also received 2 3rd round picks in this year's draft, as well as a future 2nd round pick, which we ended up using in the Chol trade. In return, we sent the 2023 grand finalists the promising Brandon Ryan, a 2nd and 3rd round pick in this year's draft, and a future 4th. Now, a lot of people will argue whether Gunston and a few picks is worth trading away Brandon Ryan, who has shown a promise in the AFL games he has played. However, I'm more confused as to why Brisbane would want an unproven 25-year-old 200cm forward, to be honest. This whole trade is a little bit of a confusing one, but I don't think we should complain too much. Gunston will provide that experience and will play a big part in the development of our young forwards. If he can pop up for even 20 to 30 goals next year alongside Lewis, Chol, Bruce, Ginnivan and Dylan Moore, then I reckon there's a big positive and we can perhaps improve on our scoring woes from last season. Speaking of Jack Ginnivan, it was a bit of a surprise seeing that he requested a trade from the reigning premiers to Hawthorn, having played in the 22 on grand final day, to walking to a team who could potentially still finish bottom 4 again next year. I can't imagine many of us will be complaining though. This move makes a lot of sense for us. He fits our list demographic at just 20 years old, and the departing Brockman and injured wingard means he will slot right into the starting forward line in round 1. As part of this deal, we also received a 2nd round pick, a future 2nd round pick, and a future 4th. In return, we sent a second round pick, a future second, and a future third. Ginnivan struggled a bit for form and game time this year at the Pies, who brought in Bobby Hill ahead of 2023, and I guess them landing Lachie Schultz from Fremantle was the last straw for Guinea. And while there might be a few concerned Hawks fans out there considering his 2023 form and his off-field issues, this guy's still capable of kicking 40 goals in a season, and I'm very excited to see how this new look forward line travels in 2024. Alright, now onto the departures. Jacob Koschitzke requested a trade to Richmond ahead of the trade period, and to be honest, I didn't really see this one coming. Koschitzke broke out in his first year up forward in 2021, but has struggled to get any consistent game time since then. Overall, I don't think we will miss him that much considering the players we have brought in this off-season. He didn't provide enough of an impact in most games and has had 2 very disappointing seasons in a row, so it makes sense for him to seek a fresh start elsewhere. And there isn't a team who needs a key forward as much as the Tigers do right now, which seems silly to say as a Hawks fan, but this move makes a lot of sense for them. Jack Riewoldt has retired and Tom Lynch needs a bit of help up there, and Koschitzke was really their only realistic and gettable option. In return for Cozzy, we received a 3rd round pick. There was speculation all year about Brockman seeking a trade back home to WA, and all the rumours were confirmed when he requested a trade to the West Coast Eagles. I loved Brocky's progression this year. He obviously had his on and off field struggles during his time at Hawthorn, but he always had potential and that X factor that we've missed since Cyril retired. In return for Brockman, the Eagles sent back a 3rd and 4th round pick in this year's draft. I wish Tyler all the best at his new club, and I hope he reaches that potential to be a great small forward in our league. All the best to Brocky, and thank you for your service at our great club. So that was all of Hawthorn's moves during the AFL trade period, and I think a lot of us Hawks fans were getting a little bit impatient and worried when it got to deadline day, as it would have been really disappointing to not get these deals done considering the interest from these players to join our club, which doesn't really happen too often. Let's do a quick recap and go over what we have brought in and what we have parted way with to get these deals over the line. Keep in mind we did bring in quite a few draft picks to trade them on, so I will add an asterisk to those picks to avoid confusion. Overall, we have more outs than ins. However, many of the picks that we have traded away were picks that we obtained from other clubs, and we have seemed to provide an at least temporary fix to our forward depth and scoring issues for next season. However, the big thing on my mind is that we didn't target a key defender in this trade period. We looked like the suitor for Ben Mackay for a couple of days there before he decided on Essendon, but other than that, there was no news for us being keen on any key defenders this trade period, which is very disappointing. This means another season of James Sicily carrying the weight of our defence on his shoulders, and players like James Blank and Sam Frost will have to step up and show improvement next year if we are to ride up the ladder a bit. Overall, I'd say it was a successful trade period for the Hawks. We did part ways with some draft picks, which is surprising considering we are in a rebuild. It seems as though the club is trying to fast track this rebuild considering how aggressive our tactics were this trade period, and it's honestly a nice change to the usual stuff us Hawks fans have to go through this time of year. Seeing as though our next highest draft pick after pick 4 is 44, we will need to nail that first selection and ensure we are picking up a quality player who can play regular first team football in 2024. Anyways, that is all for this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it and let me know what you think of our off-season moves so far. Stay tuned in the next couple of weeks for a draft preview video. We won't be overly busy on draft night, but I'm still excited to see who we will pick up. But anyway, have a great weekend, Hawks fans. I will see you soon.